housing items. I just wanted to let everybody know that we will be recording this session, and if you do not wish to show your face, please turn off your video. Some of the conversations will be difficult, but remember, this is someone's real life experience, and we are here to educate and help you reflect. Before we start, I would like to remind everybody to remain muted for better sound. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to put in the chat. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the Welland Heritage Council Black History event. Thank you all for joining us this morning. Also with us today are Niagara Center's MP Vance Badaway, MPP Jeff Birch, and hopefully we'll be shortly joined by Welland Mayor Frank Campion. Welcome. Chair Jim Bradley cannot join the live event. However, he has sent his greetings by video.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to bring greetings on behalf of Niagara Regional Council. February is Black History Month, a time to honor, celebrate, and reflect on the stories, experiences, and accomplishments of Black Canadians here in Niagara and right across our country. Niagara is fortunate to have an especially rich history that intersects with that of the Underground Railroad and key figures in Black history, including Harriet Tubman, Anthony Burns, Richard Pierpoint, and indeed many others. Niagara's connection to Black history is of importance, and I invite everyone to take the time to reflect on our community's role. While we take the time to look back on Niagara's historical connection to the Underground Railroad, the events we have witnessed in recent years continue to highlight the fact that anti-Black racism is still an issue that deserves everyone's attention. This year's theme, February and Forever, celebrating Black history today and every day, challenges us to continue recognizing the many ways Black communities contribute to the inclusive, diverse, and prosperous communities that make up the Niagara region. It also calls upon each one of us to reaffirm our shared commitment to work toward policies that eradicate racism and discrimination and promote human rights and diversity. This term of Regional Council has demonstrated its commitment to building a more welcoming community by joining the Coalition of Inclusive Municipalities, as well as establishing the first Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee. I'm encouraged at the progress we have made. However, much work remains to be done. I invite all residents to take the opportunity to explore the many in-person and virtual exhibits, displays, and resources of Black history that Niagara has to offer, including the upcoming series of education sessions hosted by the Welland Heritage Council and Multicultural Center, and find ways you can get involved. We owe it to ourselves to become better acquainted with these seminal moments in our history, to learn from them and use them to build a brighter future for us all.
So we will now have greetings from MP Vance Badaway. I know he's just about to join us now, followed by our MPP Birch, and then last but not least, followed by Mayor Campion. Thank you.
Well, good morning. Can everybody hear me? Perfect. We had some technical difficulties this morning, but it's great to be here this morning with each and every one of you. I have to say that as a member of Parliament for Niagara Centre, I'm extremely proud to be working with all of you on almost on a daily basis. And I do want to take this opportunity to wish you all a happy Black History Month. Every February, we mark Black History Month, a time to celebrate the many contributions of all of you, all of Black Canadians throughout this great nation. As we all know, Black Canadian history is Canadian history. And no matter the month, the year, the day, Black Canadians help build a stronger Canada. Whether it's in academia, health, sciences, business, sports, or the arts, Black Canadians have made and continue to make an important impact throughout our entire country. Those everyday contributions are a part of who we are. And that's why this year's theme is February Forever, celebrating Black Canadian history today, and more importantly, every day. This year, we'll honor the trailblazers of the past, like Mary Ann Shadd, the first Black woman to own and publish a newspaper here in Canada. We'll marvel in the brilliance of people like Danny Lafayette, the first Canadian novelist to be elected to the Académie Française. And we'll celebrate the young change makers of today, like Dr. Alexandra Bastiani, Canada's first Black female interventional cardiologist. A great feat. Though we can't be in person because of the ongoing pandemic, we'll take the time to acknowledge the many Black Canadians who are working tirelessly on the front lines in our communities, in our towns, and our cities across this country. We'll thank them for going above and beyond to keep our communities safe, reminding all of us and all of them that we've always got their backs and that we will never forget their immeasurable sacrifice on behalf of all of us Canadians. Black History Month will highlight the resilience of the many Black Canadian communities across this country, all the while proudly showcasing Black joy in its purest form. No matter where you are in this big, beautiful country, we're all proud to call home. We invite each and every one of you to join us in celebrating the many people and our communities that make us, once again, who we are as Canadians. And those everyday contributions are doing so much to move our country forward, especially during these challenging times. Merci, and have a safe, wonderful, and all-inclusive Black History Month. Thank you.
Thank you, MP Badaway. We'll be joined now by MPP Jeff Birch.
Well, thank you very much, Janet. It's an honor to join you this morning to help kick off Black History Month and the exciting program of workshops hosted throughout February by the Welland Heritage Council. During Black History Month, Canadians celebrate the many achievements and contributions of Black Canadians and their communities who throughout history have done so much to make Canada a more culturally diverse, compassionate, and prosperous country. Black Canadians and their communities have been part of shaping Canada's heritage and identity since the arrival of Matthew da Costa, a navigator and interpreter whose presence in Canada dates back to the early 1600s. The role of Black Canadians and their communities in Canada has largely been ignored as a key part of Canada's history. There's often little mention that some of the loyalists who came here after the American Revolution and settled in the Maritimes were people of African descent, or the fact that many soldiers of African descent made many sacrifices in wartime as far back as the War of 1812, including right here in the Niagara region. Few people in Canada are aware of the fact that people were once enslaved in Canada, or of how those who fought enslavement helped lay the foundation of Canada's diverse and inclusive society. Black History Month is a time to learn more about these Canadian stories, these Niagara stories, and the many other important contributions that Black Canadians and their communities have made to the history and continued growth of this country and this region. And sharing our pride in our Canadian Black history with new Canadians, especially children, is an important mission, and one that I know the Welland Heritage Council is very committed to. And Black History Month is also a time for all Canadians to reaffirm their commitment to ending anti-Black racism in all its forms. As a former worker from the settlement sector, a partner of the Welland Heritage Council and a colleague of Janet, Claire, and the fantastic staff at the Heritage Council, it's always a great pleasure to join you. And of course, I wanted to mention I'm very proud of Janet as being chosen as the president of the board of directors of OCASI, the Ontario Council of Agencies Serving Immigrants, and the leadership she and the Welland Heritage Council are showing in the settlement sector and with anti-racism efforts across Ontario and here in Niagara region. So thank you, merci, and miigwech.
Thank you, MPP Birch. And finally, but not least, our Mayor, Frank Campion.
Sorry, Janet. I got all these windows popping up. Anyway, yeah, congratulations, Janet, on your appointment. That's just fantastic news. I'm really pleased that you're able to do that. You know, I'm so proud and happy to have Welland Heritage Council in the city of Welland. You know, you guys contribute so much to our community. You've been doing it for years, and you know, look forward to all the programming that you're going to be putting on this month for Black Heritage Month. It's truly amazing that your organization can do so much with actually so little, and you're very efficient and effective. So I congratulate you and your entire team, Janet, on how you perform for our community. You know, when we talk about Black History Month in the Welland Heritage Council, you know, it's a great mix because, you know, the Black community is a big part of our heritage. It's a very important part of who we are, not only Welland and Ontario and Canada. It's really a big part of the fabric of, you know, where we are and how we got here. And certainly, you know, as has been mentioned by the other speakers, it's very important for us to recognize this, but also to work towards you know, a better Canada, a better relationship, and continued ongoing work to improve. So, you know, Black History Month is a time for, you know, all of us to reflect and celebrate, excuse me, the heritage, traditions, and culture of the Black Canadians, and to honor the contributions the Black Canadians make to our community and the vibrant role that they play. And when I say a vibrant role, you know, it's across all boundaries, all types of contributions, you know, from medical to political to, you know, just it touches all of our lives all of the time, every day. The Black History Month is about celebrating the resilience, innovation, perseverance, and to work towards a more inclusive and diverse society. And that's really what I was trying to say at the beginning. You know, we do have an inclusive society, we do have a diverse society, but there's always more work to be done. And I think the celebration of Black History Month focuses on that. We're going to hear, I believe, you know, some interesting stories of you know, I think it was stated as, you know, some uncomfortable information. And that's the information we have to have so that we can understand, you know, where it's coming from and how we can move forward in a better way. So I hope everybody enjoys festivities this month and that honor the legacy of Black Canadians past and present, and certainly looking forward to the future as well. I think the Chair Bradley indicated, you know, we do have a history here in Niagara, you know, as part of the Underground Railway, and certainly Harriet Tubman is in the forefront. And so I'd just like to leave with a quote from her, because I think it's a very meaningful quote. She said, "Always remember you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars and to change the world." And I think if we can all remember that, we're going to be moving towards a very, very bright future. So thank you very much for everything that you've done. And thank you for allowing me to speak this morning. It's truly a pleasure. And so thank you and merci.
And thank you so much, Mayor Campion. And again, thank you all for your continued support. February is indeed Black History Month. It is an opportunity to understand Black histories, going beyond stories of racism and slavery to spotlight achievement and excellence. Familiar stories of the great likes like Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King Jr., Viola Davis Desmond, and our very own Harriet Tubman. As we observe and celebrate the history, culture, and lived experiences, we hope you all leave here empowered and reminded that we all have a role to play to impact change. I want to introduce our first act. Emily Radcliffe is a fourth-year undergrad student at the University of Waterloo, studying theater and performance and business. Today, Emily is excited to share an original song that she wrote last February as a student participant in 21 Black Futures, a theater project done in collaboration with Obsidian Theater and CBC Arts that involved 21 different explorations on the future of the future Blackness. This song was a creative, critical response to one of the 21 short plays called Madness with Rocks, which is still available to stream on the CBC Arts website. Here is Emily's response entitled, The Boulder and I. Emily.
In a world that's forgotten my name, will you forget me the same? To be the last one standing in my homeland, once thriving high. In this desolate place, all is gone, no goodbyes. All that's left is this boulder and I feel the weight of my wounds pulling me deeper into the sand. Feel like I should just die with our stories in hand. Well, Mr. Businessman, hero in the land, so why should I forgive? Feel the sun calling me to forgive. Feel the sun calling me to forgive. They silenced our every cry, mocked our trauma, then blatantly lied. In every realm and room, we had to fight to prove our place in the world. All that's left is this boulder, and I feel the weight of my wounds pulling me deeper into the sand. Feel like I should just die with our stories in hand. Well, Mr. Businessman, he never gave a damn, so why should I forgive? Feel the sun calling me to forgive. Feel the sun calling me to forgive. Why can't I be like the sun, rotating gleefully, unaware of its influence, calling on me to forgive, without telling me what that even means? What does it mean to forgive? To forget what was done to me and just spin on gleefully? What does it mean to forgive? To cherish these memories and share what was taught to me. I can't let my hurt, I can't let my pain pull me deeper down into the quicksand. If unforgiveness keeps them in control, then I'll seek my healing and let it all go. So here I am, the boulder, and I hesitantly calling on a new life with my tongue. I'll give out grace even though I'm exhausted from running this race, slowing down to the sound of the sun.
Emily, what can I say? That was incredibly beautiful and powerful. I almost feel inadequate speaking following up that performance. I kept just trying to think of like, oh, right, I got to follow up to Emily. I got to follow up to Emily so I can, introduce Kim. And I promise you that I was just mesmerized. Not only that, but I had goosebumps. I actually had goosebumps. Your song is incredibly beautiful, incredibly powerful, and I don't want to talk for too long to take away from the message that you've portrayed and from the beautiful performance that you've just graced us with. Honestly, I've had the absolute honor to work alongside you for this second time for Black History Month, and honestly, you are incredibly talented and just such an amazing person. It's so awesome, and thank you for sharing that. I can't say enough. The comments are everybody is saying what we're all thinking, which is thank you so much. That was incredibly beautiful and powerful. It's now my pleasure to introduce Kim. Kim Madume is a student at the University of Waterloo in her 5th year of honors arts with a double major in psychology and sexuality, marriage, and family studies, as well as a minor in music. In the future, Kim would love to explore a career in relational counseling while continuing to grow the photography business that was launched at the end of last year. She is the co-host of the podcast Pigmented with her friend and fellow co-host, Emily, who we've just heard sing, who is also joining us today with that beautiful performance. On her own time, Kim enjoys writing spoken word, and she will be performing a beautiful original piece.
Can I keep it real with you? I'm not the biggest fan of Black History Month. It always felt like society was checking off a box, desensitized to our nation's quick descent into gridlock. Try condensing years of history outside of just slavery, not to mention out of all 12 months, February happens to be the shortest one. Talk is cheap when accompanied with no action, but how can you expect a reaction when we grow up learning all about white history and only fragments of our own? But check the facts, because there's been many a time where Black inventors and creatives were overlooked for several milestones. The hatred for Black people has rarely ever been discreet. In fact, there's no peace for the Black man who fears stepping out onto the streets. There's no peace for the Black woman who thinks twice about laying down, closing her eyes, and going to sleep in her own sheets. There's no peace for the crowd who stands in unity, to speak out for those who have fallen in the Black community. And yes, these events took place before 2020. There's still no peace for the Black families who mourn and are sick and tired of losing brothers and sisters, neighbors and coworkers, spouses and friends, daughters and sons. What makes me sick is the thought of those who are consumed by grief, anger, fear, and hopelessness every day because things never seem like they're going to change. I mean, it's the same thing, my guy. We follow the trends, feed the algorithm until hashtags barely hang on by a thread, and hop off when we're bored because it's not our lives that came to an end. It's the same thing. February 1 through 28. But every 4 years we do get the extra day. Better grab the rug for the rest of the months, maybe repost on social media and throw a black square on your feed once. But what if we took the extra day to talk about the joys of Black culture, pouring out hope for our brothers and sisters of the future? How about we take the time to appreciate, to celebrate, and to create a safe space? Take the time to listen, and I mean truly listen to the people around us who look different. Instead, we sweep everything under as our memories of several calamities fade away. We go on with our days, our interest decays, but that doesn't stop the fact that it's been 690 plus days since a woman was killed for sleeping. And you're telling me that those who were responsible had the opportunity to walk away? Man, all I can do is pray that there will finally be a day where we receive justice and we finally experience peace. Now, I'll own my small p privilege, but no longer will I downplay my ability to influence. The scars on my hands, they represent strength and resilience, but don't you for 1 second mistaken my sweetness for weakness. I am an equal, no lesser or greater than. Don't mistreat me because I'm hardworking or step past me like a shadow in the night. Don't degrade me or attempt to stifle this little light because it's mine. Call it golden hour, honey, because I can't help but shine. So walk with me because I'm deserving of respect. I won't spell it out for you, though, because Aretha Franklin already said it best. You see the color of my skin, dark, coated in melanin beauty. When I look in the mirror, my reflection screams back boldness and determination, really the opposite of who I used to see. Before, I saw this bound individual, crushed by the hate, smothered in oppression, pretty for a black girl, at the most a criminal. But now, see, I believe that liberty is a possibility. I see the chains that stifle the voices and the power of the black community, a system that's been created to destroy dreams, steal hope, and break apart families. Those chains are falling. Can you hear it? Bondage is breaking. Just try and picture it. And with that in mind, this idea of what could be, let's commit to make that a generational reality. Let's talk about more than just the civil rights movement and slavery. Black history is the stories our grandparents tell us of their journeys. It's the countless letters and reflections we write in journal entries. It's the memories that we hold on to and the ones passed down through centuries. It's a picture, a recording, a note, a postcard. It's a room full of generations, from those just entering the world to those who just had to shed their blood, sweat, and tears just to get this far. So for every ear that wants to listen, this is my story. And just like my fellow black kings and queens, every one of our soliloquies aligns throughout time to produce what we now call Black history. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Kimberly. That was amazing. Wow, 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 wow. Thank you for that. If I wasn't on mute, you would have heard me screaming. But amazing, amazing. I'm so happy and glad to be a creative partner with you in life because, whew, my gosh, that was awesome. So many snaps. My hand hurts. Now, I have been tasked to introduce our next person. Thank you so much, Kimberly. And that is George Mora, who is the ESL Program Coordinator and Housing Coordinator at Welland Heritage Council. He is kind of a poet, and he wrote something he would like to share. It's not Walt Whitman, but he's trying his best.
Yes, and we also have Kenny Gwena performing with him as well, who was born and raised in Zimbabwe and arrived in Canada in 2005. Since 2006, he has had the privilege of supporting refugees and immigrants through settlement services with the Welland Heritage Council and Multicultural Center. Kenny received his Master of Divinity from Bethany Theological Seminary in the United States and worked in higher education as a residence hall manager at Sterling College in Kansas, and coordinated several campus ministries and service learning at McPherson College, also located in Kansas. He has studied at Humber College and is a regulated Canadian immigrant consultant. Over the years, Kenny has used his storytelling, his music, poetry, writing, and public speaking skills to encourage meaningful engagement. He has presented to students, churches, and communities in Ontario, Indiana, Kansas, Nebraska, Colorado, Zimbabwe, and South Africa. The floor is yours.
This life, a constant conflict, caught and held taut, within lines of dispute, his nature fights his welfare.
His nature fights his welfare. I'll tell you a story. Last Friday, I was driving down a main road and I was not looking for trouble at the time. I was just trying to buy some Milo, a drink, and everything seemed normal until this guy just zipped right past me at top speed. And I'm looking at him and I'm wondering, how do you drive like that? And then he stopped right in front of me. He braked really hard, so hard that if I wasn't paying attention, I would have slammed right into him. And I started thinking, this has happened before, not to me. This is road rage. It happened on a highway. I think it was QEW or 401. But in that incident, someone died and charges were laid. And as I'm looking at him, he starts pulling away, but he's not driving fast anymore. And he turns onto an avenue and stops. And I'm looking at him. He gets out of the car and starts spitting vigorously. And I'm thinking, that's a man with a lot of spit. And then I drove on. But I'm so shaken by what could have happened that I stopped. I also turned and parked my car. And I thought I was okay until I saw him coming right at me from the other end. And I didn't know whether to pull back or to continue, to drive on or to remain where I was. It happened so fast. And he pulled up right next to me, going in the opposite direction. And he opened his window. And I'm looking at him. Normally, you wouldn't think about, rolling down your window to find out what's going on. I didn't do that. I just sat there, trying to reach for my phone so I could at least record it, because I saw that he was holding his phone. And he rolled down his window and he spat. If I had rolled down my window, he would have spat on my face. The spit landed on the glass. So I started thinking, so now I have to think about what's in his spit, things we didn't have to think about before. I have to think about going to the car wash so that I don't have to come into contact with that. And I started thinking, is this race related or is it not? If this person was Black, I wouldn't have any questions. I would just think it's road rage. But why am I thinking about race in this incident? It could be an isolated incident. Am I reading race where race is not? And I realized that I shouldn't even be thinking about that. Society shouldn't be set up so that I even think about that. An incident should just be an incident. But a long history of what has happened before brings you to a place where when you look at things that are happening that may just be normal, you see race. Because yes, there is race in it sometimes, and most of the time there is. We still have bananas thrown at athletes, whether they do well or whether they're not doing well for their team. There's still incidents like that, not far away, but right here in Canada. And that's what makes you think. So I wrote this poem, Chalk Mark, Weird Lane. I saw a chalk mark, Weird Lane, before you were slain. Body of evidence, covered in poke marks. To them, just a persistent pain, a stain, a botch in the window pane, misunderstood and misconstrued. Your presence had them all confused, talking like they were a bit obtuse. I don't mean to be rude. Is it going to change? When paint was painted, you were contained like a paint in a can. A piece of art, then you became. Art so sadistically portrayed a stitch of work frayed metaphors framed in language that read like loose change and sold as is to the lowest bidder, hidden cost, rock rejected by builders. In the end, it was what it was, insane. And there you were, where you lay, ensnared, dream deferred, progress delayed, no claim to fame, an accentuated pain. And to some, you were just a stain to be wiped away. These are words that represent what we've been struggling with for millennia, and the struggle seems to continue endlessly.
Millennia. A millennia of contradiction. How can he live when life is but poisonous breaths of conscious despair? Now what of hope? These dreams ascend to hell and descend through laughing clouds of confinement. To climb this tower of vague promise and peace, he must abandon his powers and embrace refinement.
Abandon his powers and embrace refinement. But whose refinement? I'm sure you'll understand if I scream. A screaming time saves life. Life, a gutter waiting to sweep you away, slain by words in life's byways, victim of happenstance or waylay. Your killers now seem living, peeling away, stealing away, melting away, never to be seen once they hit the highway, while I pay the price for making a case. Picture me squeezing my eye sockets, searching my pockets, looking for words to make a comment, even a masterpiece of understatement. And for all the right reasons, I'm livid. The crime scene is crammed with the indication, Lord, forgive us for living. But the real culprit always gets away.
How? How can he convey the loneliness and uncertainty of the solitary desolation wrought from heartache? Where the moon has turned, and her dark side, a reminder of infinite nights to blanket daybreak, abandon the thought that practiced mages may turn off the dark with your surrender, or graciously give freedom in exchange for stability and quiet splendor. Always afraid of being the ripple in the still waters, the debt of your heavy spending thoughts, your mind in overdraft.
I'm a mind in overdrive. Drafts of forced air passing through corridors of flavorless nights. Watch your eyes, says the man with the murderous eyes, punching your face in, pinning you down, pushing you in, calling you nouns, knocking you out. A series of blackouts, broken images of yourself, checking out, forced by the hand of another. You thought of your mother, calling out your name, hoping to resuscitate you. But death does not regurgitate. A voice said, you did this to yourself. And you said the prayer from Thug Bible, Lord, forgive us for leaving hooded man with outstretched arms. Come to me, all you that are heavy laden, but God shall wipe away all tears. But when is that happening? Your job is to wonder why. Then you saw the world passing by, blurry visions of hooded nights. The priest had mentioned signs, but forgot to say it would be this bad a sight. You caught your breath and sighed. Those days were like the end of days. You thought, these are the signs of the times. But when does this end? Over to you, Mr. George.
Thank you, Mr. Kenny. That's a little something we prepared for you guys that we wanted to share. It's unfortunate that we can't all meet in person, and we can't be together like we usually can, but we are working with the circumstances that we have, and it's been absolute honor and pleasure to share this space and this platform with just incredibly talented people like Kim, Emily, Kenny. It's honestly an honor, and I'm thankful to be given that opportunity. You guys are amazing, and I'm thankful for all your awesome contributions and the beautiful art that you create. Just before we continue on, I think one of the things that is so important, when it comes to Black History Month, is that we can't talk about Black History Month without talking about race. And Mr. Kenny, something that I'd like to just kind of pose to you and throw your way is, how can we address race in the 21st century?
The question that keeps coming back is why do we celebrate Black History Month? Why not All People History Month? And some of the sources of these questions just have me wondering, what's going on. I thought you were working with us. We were helping each other in this. We were friends. But when that question arises, you take it as, well, it is an opportunity to talk about this. Black History Month is Canadian history. We cannot talk about Canadian history without talking about Black history. We cannot talk about North American history without talking about Black history. We cannot talk about world history without talking about Black history. I was watching a documentary on the Napoleonic Wars weeks ago, and I'm looking at it. I'm seeing the story of Alexander Dumas, not the one that wrote the Three Musketeers, but his father, and everything that he had to go through for the liberation of Haiti and for the for the abolition of slavery. and how he ended his life in Napoleon's dungeon after fighting alongside with him to win victories for France. And he ended up hearing stories of blind and hearing stories of how the Black people had been banned from Paris. And fortunately, he could still live there, but it was unfortunate because if you're the only person there and there's only room for you and you're living a miserable life already, how good is that? And this, resonates in many ways on different levels, even in today's history. There's only so much room for any group of people at any point. And as Black people today, we still find that there's only room for one person. There's only room for two people. Once you have 3, 4, 5, you start hearing comments like, "Oh, but this is too much. They're taking over." Things like that. In the end, we cannot stop reminding each other that the struggle has not stopped because the issues that have dogged the Black communities have not gone away. There have been changes, yes, and we celebrate those changes. We celebrate progress. We celebrate what we've seen. We celebrate the beauty of what we see of people living together in harmony. But as we do so, we do well to remember the dream is free, but the hustle is still sold separately. We still have to hustle. We still have to fight. We still have to ask questions. We still have to, there's so many things that still present themselves that shouldn't be presenting themselves in this day and age. We have to remember that the fact that the government still has to address anti-Black racism in their budgets and as a policy is a reminder that we still have things to do because they can't have made these things up. They can't be acting on impetuously on unfounded theories. This is based on research. We have to remember that if our athletes are still having banana peels thrown at them, whether they are winning for their team, whether they are losing, whether they're doing well or not doing well, they still, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. They still have to deal with racism on the most populous games that are played. We have things to do. We have to remember that if a Black person still has to think about their color, the color of their skin before, while, and after attending a job interview, there still is work to do. Blacks are more likely than other groups to say that their race has hurt their ability to succeed. And this is not about Black and white. But you cannot talk about these issues without looking also, without looking at all the facts. Who is most likely to be hurt by the color of their skin in 2022? Who is least likely to be hurt by the color of their skin in 2022 in trying to get ahead? Martin Luther King says that we should not be judged by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character. And seriously, you get tired of being a good person. We shouldn't get tired of being good people. But sometimes you get tired of, trying very hard, you're trying the best you can, but the ceiling is so low, you can't get past that. So those are the things that prompt us to continue and egg us on, to continue to talk about these issues, to continue to celebrate Black History Month and remind our friends and also remind each other that there's still work to do because we might relax. And if we're looking back past few years, we've seen a lot of changes that we did not think would be happening. Yesterday, I was reading that right in the middle of Florida, there was a white supremacist meeting of neo-Nazis or Nazis meeting in the middle of Florida as if it was perfectly fine. Yes, it's fine for them, but that's a reminder that we still have work to do. In the end, says Martin Luther King, in the end, we will remember not what the enemy did, but what our friends didn't do by their silence. So this is why we do Black History Month celebrations every year. And this is why we ask our friends to continue to be outspoken. I was listening to the speeches that were given by our honorable dignitaries, and I was thinking, these are powerful speeches. I wish we had more voices like theirs. We had more thought like theirs presenting. And, we have a way, we still have a long way to go, but we are getting there. We will not stop until we get there.
Mr. Kenny, thank you. I don't want to take away from what you said and the powerful message that you're sharing and your words, which carry a lot of weight and power. You're so beautifully eloquent and just an incredible wordsmith. And I think what you're saying is incredibly true and incredibly powerful. And it's a message that, not only a message but a conversation that we need to continue to carry and you know, keep at the forefront of our minds. Like you said, not just February, but you know, just like the theme and people have mentioned it, it's February forever. So, you know, not just February, but to carry on throughout, you know, the year and the future, and continue to push, because like you said, there's still a lot of work to be done.
And you know what encourages me, George, is seeing young persons like Kim and her friends just taking their positions in the forefront and saying, you know, we recognize what's been achieved and we recognize what remains to be achieved, and being so bold and eloquent and doing what they're doing. I would encourage more children, more younger people to do the same.
I agree. It's a spotlight that's being put on our younger generation, and they're doing a great job. And I think Kim and Emily are great examples of that, amongst many others, you know. And you know, I think there's, like you said, there's still a lot of work to be done, but we've got good hard workers, you know, that are pushing through and that are at the forefront of spreading this message and carrying on this conversation, and making sure that, you know, those voices aren't silenced, but rather that, you know, we put them on a stage and give them a megaphone and make sure that we amplify that and empower it. So thank you everyone. I'm going to pass it on now back to Janet to close it off for this awesome event. Mr. Kenny, thank you so much.
Wow, grace, excellence. Those are some of the words that are going through my mind right now. Emily and Kim, we are so proud. Seeing the younger generation educating all of us. You don't know how much reflection has happened this morning. So thank you. Kenny and George, you're never a disappointment. I am so happy to be called your colleague. Awesome, thank you. Crystal, my friend, thank you for setting the stage for all of us. I really appreciate taking your time out of your busy schedule. Thank you so much. I agree with Spiwe, who posted on the chat that although it might be uncomfortable, change does start with us. Yes, we still have work to do. A continued engagement with history is vital, as it helps give context for the present. We hope you have been empowered. Thank you again for joining us in this important celebration. I hope you can attend the other events that we have lined up with CBC Radio. Kimberly and Emily will be appearing again with Dr. Taylor next week on Wednesday from noon to 1, as well as our panel conversations, which are so vital for all of us with Meridian Credit Union the following week, the third week and the fourth week. You can use the same login for the last two panel sessions. If you wish to donate to the scholarship fund, please feel free to contact us or log on to our website to contribute to this worthy cause. Please enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope to see you all again next year. In fact, next Wednesday. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.